You're listening to the Valley Labor Report.
Alabama's only union talk radio show. This is the Valley Labor Report. My name is Jacob Morrison, here with my co-host and fellow agitator, Adam Keller. If you want to give us a call, the phone number is 1-866-494-9866. Again, that phone number is 1-866-494-9866. We're going to go ahead and go straight to what happened last week in Southern Labor. So this is brought to you by Jonah Furman. He has a very good Substack where you should subscribe to see what happened in the rest of U.S. labor last week. It is a very informative, very informative newsletter where you get everything that happened in the labor movement last week. And so we pick out what happened in the South. We tell it to you, and hopefully that's a good ad for his newsletter, and it's a really good segment for our show. So hopefully there's some there's a symbiotic relationship there. So in new organizing, we had 118 utility workers at the Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative based in Harrisonburg, Virginia. They're organizing with IBEW Local 1,900, 15 workers who make sticky labels for Celestic in Fletcher, North Carolina, are unionizing with Teamsters Local 61. Very cool. And 7 glaziers for architectural glass and waterproofing in Canton, Georgia, are joining Painters Local 1940. There were no NLRB wins, losses, decertifications, or raids in the South last week. So, no news is better news than having a bunch of losses, I suppose. Strikes and bargaining, there are several updates there. What was a single strike, this is very exciting, what was a single strike at a Nabisco plant in Portland, Oregon, Local 364, has since spread to every single Nabisco factory in the country, including one in Richmond, Virginia, Local 358, and also, it is also expanded to locations in Aurora, Colorado, which is Local 26, and Chicago, Illinois, which is Local 1. But Richmond, Virginia, Local 358 is part of that strike. Every single Nabisco facility in the country right now is on strike, which is amazing. Do not buy Nabisco products while they are on strike. That's very important that we support these workers while they're fighting for better wages and working conditions. Very excited to see them participating in the strike wave that has engulfed the country over the past several years. That's how we're going to win, folks.
Boycott Nabisco.
Yes.
That is a union sanctioned boycott, is my understanding. So
absolutely.
The workers are calling for that. So while you're out and about doing your grocery shopping, screw Nabisco until they do right by their union workers.
Yep. No Oreos for the time being. The UAW, I'm not actually sure if John Deere has any manufacturing facilities in the South, but this is a very big contract. And I wanted to point it out for a couple of reasons as well. The UAW and John Deere have opened negotiations on a new master agreement for over 10,000 John Deere workers at 12 facilities across the country. The current contract expires October the 1st. And I wanted to point this out because John Deere is a well-known name, but also because lots of people say that, unions, UAW destroyed the big three auto manufacturers, and it's the workers' fault that a Ford is not as good as a Toyota, let's say. And let's stipulate that for the sake of argument. I'm willing to accept that a Toyota might be a better car than a Ford at this point. That's not the fault of the workers, necessarily, because they do not have control of the means of production, to my knowledge. We mentioned this on a midweek stream, but I just wanted to reiterate this for our radio audience, because, the workers are not the ones choosing what kind of cars to produce, what kind of material to use to produce the cars. All they are controlling are their working conditions and their wages. And so it is the companies that are deciding to make the cars, like how they are going to produce the cars. And that is evident in the fact that John Deere is still the top tier. If you want to get a good lawnmower, you still get a John Deere. And who makes John Deere? UAW members. UAW members in the United States still make John Deere mowers, and they are top of the line. So it is obviously not union representation is going to make or break the quality of a product. I just wanted to put that out there because that's very important, I think. Refinery workers at ExxonMobil's Beaumont, Texas plant, who have been locked out for months for refusing to let management gut their union security system, they have protested at an oil and gas trade show to keep pressure on the company. There are some updates on union internal politics, details of the UAW referendum on whether to implement direct elections of top officers. That has been solidified by the independent monitor set up by the Department of Justice. Ballots will be sent out by October 12th, and members are hard at work organizing to win it. That referendum is whether or not UAW members will elect their international officers by one member, one vote instead of a delegate system. Notably, the monitor ruled that no UAW resources can be used on campaigning one way or the other, which is probably good news for those who want direct elections, considering as the permanently incumbent administration caucus is known to be against direct elections for obvious reasons of permanent incumbency. We talked more about that with the UAWD, which is the Reform Caucus in the UAW. UAWD stands for Unite All Workers for Democracy. They are fighting for increased democracy, democratic processes, transparency, and an end to corruption in the UAW, which is very important. We talked to some of the lead organizers in that organization a couple weeks on the show. You can listen to that on YouTube and on our podcast. Recently, a judge dismissed most of the legal claims against AFGE's, which is my union, AFGE's former leadership in a series of sexual harassment charges, which was a very big deal in our union. The former president was ousted because of sexual harassment charges. He is no longer the president. He did retire, and there were some legal claims against him. Actually, was the extent of the sexual harassment, which is just terrible. But I am hopeful that the things that allowed that to happen, I'm hopeful that there are better processes in place, and I have a lot more trust in our current national president than I did the former one. Our current national president, we've talked to him a couple times on the program. He is Reverend Everett Kelly, actually out of Anniston, Alabama. He was a preacher at a Baptist church down there, and he was the first black president of the AFGE local at Anniston Army Depot. So very, very cool to have an Alabamian be the national president of the AFGE, which represents 700,000 federal employees. And, it's I'm not sure. I haven't looked at too much into the legal claims against our former president as far as the sexual harassment charges, but it was very, lots of people were very upset about that in our union. Liz Schuler was elected national president or international president of the AFLCIO, which is the federation, the largest federation of unions in the country. Liz Schuler was elected president after the sudden death of Richard Trumka, the former president, and who came out of the UMWA, the United Mine Workers of America. He was formerly a coal miner, then a lawyer for the UMWA, and then the UMWA's president. And then he went on to become the AFL-CIO international president in the 90s on a reform slate. And he passed suddenly of a heart attack a couple of weeks ago. Liz Schuler was the secretary-treasurer, and she took over for him by a vote of the board of the I'm not sure what it's called, but the
executive board, maybe?
The executive board. Yeah, the executive board. So very happy for Liz Schuler.
The first woman to hold that position.
That's right. Thank you, Adam. The first woman to lead the largest federation of unions in the country. So very happy about that.
And just want to make sure, we've said this before, but AFL-CIO is a federation of unions. Right. I heard on NPR yesterday where they mentioned one of the largest unions in the country. No, it is a federation of many large unions.
Yes.
And the name escapes me right now, but I believe the new secretary-treasurer who's going to be filling in for Liz Schuler's spot is the first African American to hold that position. So,
the first African American to hold the Secretary Treasurer position.
Yeah, so cool. Some historic milestones there with the leadership transition, and I don't know what the timeline is for elections, and when there will be more of a permanent change, but. Wishing all the best to Liz Schuler, and hopefully she will be able to pick up where Trumka left off and continue to grow the labor movement.
Yes, absolutely. It's vitally important that we that we are able to to grow the labor movement, because we believe here on this show that the labor movement presents the best possibility for working people to make their lives better in this country, better than relying on politicians.
Right,
for sure.
And we talked with Ms. Todd about some of these different ways we could improve Alabama, but when it all comes down to is none of that is possible without a movement. Without a movement of organized working class people, the everyday people who, push this economy. Without us, there is no economy, there is no Alabama. And so it's going to be that organized movement that can actually create change.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So, folks, if you want to give us a call, the phone number is 1-866-494-9866. Adam, you had some local updates for us.
Yeah, I do. But before we get to that, while we're discussing some of the national labor happenings, I think this would be a good time to plug Working People Podcast. Jacob and I got to fill in a little bit, and Jacob especially, so I'm grateful I got to participate in that. But a friend of the show, Max Alvarez, you may have heard him here on the Valley Labor Report. Working People Podcast is a collaboration between In These Times and Real News Network, and we were able to actually do a two-part episode. Jacob and I traveled down to the big UMWA rally a few weeks ago. We had some amazing interviews with Greg and Amy and Hayden and Braxton. So part one of that episode, you will actually kind of get a feel for what it was like at the rally and hear some of those amazing interviews with rank and file miners, as well as the wives in the auxiliary. And then on part two is a special episode where Jacob interviews Kim Kelly. And, we've shouted out Kim a lot because she has been the best reporter on the coal miner strike down in Brookwood, and doing a lot of great labor reporting just overall about the Bessemer Amazon campaign. And I know she's got a book in the works. So if you haven't had a chance, please check out those two episodes from Working People Podcast. You can find it, wherever you found your podcast, wherever you listen to us, you can probably find it there. It was a pleasure to get to collaborate with Max and Jacob and the UMWA. It was a really great work, and I'm very proud of it. And I want y'all to listen to it. I know you've heard a lot about us talking to these striking miners, but this was excellent stuff.
Yes, and I have put links in the comments section on our YouTube page to the Working People Podcast, just where you can find the podcast, because they, in addition to our interviews, I love the Working People Podcast. Basically, they interview working people. So many shows and media is focused on executives, politicians, what the experts think, quote unquote, and Max Alvarez puts the focus on working people, and he talks to them about their lives, their struggles, their dreams and aspirations, and it's really an amazing thing to listen to. He's a extraordinarily talented interviewer. So I put the link to his podcast in the comments, and I also put a link to the two episodes that we did. And like Adam said, the episode where we talked to miners who have been on strike and their families, you really get a feel for what it was like to be there on that day at that rally. Really enjoyed the opportunity to talk to them, and of course the opportunity to talk to Kim Kelly about her reporting and about how she came into labor reporting. Loved those conversations, so make sure that you check that out. It's some really good stuff. We are coming up on a break, and Adam is going to talk to us about what happened last week in Huntsville on the other side, so stay tuned.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report.
If you're looking for contractors with lower than average EMR and TRIR, if you need to supplement a workforce at any level for any amount of time, if you need iron workers that come trained and certified at no extra cost, or if you need workers from superintendent down to general laborer and you're looking to start work on a project, or you're unhappy with your current contractor situation, you need to call my friend Jeb Miles with the Iron Workers Local 477. They only work with the best in the business, vetted contractors, and can do all kinds of jobs from roofing to steel and bridge erection, from welding to heavy rigging, from structural repairs to machinery alignment, and much more. They supply manpower on 4 of the 5 largest projects in North Alabama, so you know they're legit. If you need good quality, safe, efficient, diligent, and knowledgeable workers on your job, then you need the Iron Workers Local 477. Call Jeb Miles at 256-383-3334. That's 256-383-3334, or via email at local477@bellsouth.net, and make sure you tell them that you heard about them on the Valley Labor Report.
If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. If you missed part of the show and you want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. We keep the full show there, and we also upload segments throughout the week. We do upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps, so to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe. We've got a website where you can buy our hats and our stickers. That is thevalleylaborreport.org, and we had a fellow that actually accidentally bought too many hats, and he sent the extras back. So we now again have 2 more hats left. So if you want one of our hats, it's $35. That includes shipping and handling. You can go to thevalleylaborreport.org. We're also looking for T-shirt ideas. So if you've got one, then DM us. And finally, if you appreciate our work and you want to help us stay on the air, the best way to do that is to throw us a few dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report.